Welcome to the FWA Daily World Cup podcast. I'm here with John Cross of the Mirror, brought to you in association with William Hill and the FWA. We're looking back at last night's win, obviously a massive win for Russia. What does that mean for Russia and the World Cup?
Well, I think it's a fantastic excitement, really, to get the World Cup off to a winning start. I mean, it's funny, isn't it? We're based out, obviously, in St. Petersburg. The game's in Moscow. But honestly, when we left the hotel last night, even the guy on the gate was sort of saying thumbs up and sort of showing us the scoreline with his fingers. And he was just so excited. And there's a real buzz you feel about everyone that you sort of see around the place. I think if you needed a scoreline to really get the tournament to catch light, then that was the sort of the spectacular result that they wanted and they were craving for. You felt the energy from the stadium, didn't you? It was a really positive game, just to even you could felt that on the TV. So it's a dream start, I think, for the host nation. Especially
as there were concerns that they might actually lose that game, weren't there?
Well, I'll tell you what, I watched the game and the first 10 minutes I thought the Saudis actually passed it around quite nicely. I thought, blimey, what's going to happen here? One of their better players obviously goes off injured early on, but actually they came through it and they look really good. I mean, Russia are not particularly fancied in this tournament.
50-1, I think, and that hasn't changed even after the 5.
Well, I'm not so surprised about that. I guess their battle was always getting out of the group. The one thing they didn't want to be was seen as sort of a lame duck that couldn't even get out the group stage. And I guess that positive result, particularly with that scoreline, which would definitely help them, I think gives them a huge edge in getting out the group into the knockout stage.
And of course, we got Egypt, Uruguay this afternoon. No Mo Salah. That's a big blow for Egypt, isn't it?
Yeah, listen, I think he will be their talisman, won't he, if he can make it at any point. He's the main man. He is their sort of kind of, main threat, both goalwards and also leading the team, leading the squad. And I think without him, they're a poorer team, aren't they? Uruguay, you'd have to say, are hot favourites in that game.
And of course, usually we're talking about an England player who's touch and go and going to make it, but good news today down at the training camp. Marcus Rashford's back in. He had that little knock, didn't he? But he's back in training today.
Yeah, it's a boost. I get the impression it's never been that serious. I guess the one thing is you don't want to do is carry a knock and have some sort of an issue which you make worse with training. So they've nursed him along gradually. Let's hope that he can be back in contention for Monday. My feeling is that he wasn't going to start anyway.
Yeah.
But basically, if you needed any further confirmation that he would be an impact player from the bench, then it's been this week.
Yeah.
The fact that he's not been able to train properly and fully, I do think he's got a great bit of potential in him because of his speed and his power and his pace. I really think that he can make an impact from the bench, and I think perhaps it's almost helped Gareth Southgate in a way.
Mm-hmm. Now, this evening we got in St. Petersburg, we got Iran against Morocco. That's a colourful bunch of fans. They were out in town last night doing the VOO and all this. They're obviously not going to be big contenders to cause any upsets in the World Cup, we think.
No, I don't think so. I did see this wonderful documentary the other night. I watched it on the BBC about Scotland's World Cup campaign in 78, and it sort of takes you back, and then sort of the Iran sort of game there that sort of obviously really put them on their way home, and what a disastrous campaign that was. But I have to say, that's the sort of result that maybe, makes you think, actually, this is a wonderful sort of World Cup, and sort of the upsets of it.
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen, so maybe Iran can pull off another miracle. But I would have thought on the greater scheme of things, no.
Yeah. And the big one tonight, Spain-Portugal down in Sochi. I mean, that's the group decider already, isn't it? First game out.
Yeah, it is really. Listen, the one thing you don't want to do as a big nation is lose your opening game in the group. You'd still think if someone loses and it's not a draw, then they would still come through that group. But it will be hard work. Look, Portugal, they got the job done 2 years ago, European champions. I don't quite know how they did that. It was a togetherness and a spirit. I think sort of almost fostered by Ronaldo, who was far from being at his best, was he really, throughout the whole tournament. I don't think he was at his peak fitness, but that togetherness carried them through and is the reason why they did it. Spain, what a build-up, an absolute disaster, losing your manager on the eve of the tournament, controversy. I mean, blimey, if we didn't think that squad is perhaps arguably split already between Barcelona and Real Madrid, certainly has been now, and I think obviously they've tried to heal that sort of kind of fractured relationship between sort of kind of the whole squad and the whole makeup and dynamic of the team, and you just wonder what impact it will have had on Spain.
I mean, Portugal 25-1, Spain 6-1 to win the World Cup. Those odds could be getting a little closer by this time tomorrow if Portugal get the result they want tonight.
Yeah, I mean, Portugal are seen as the outsiders. They were 2 years ago. I mean, it's been a hell of a ride for Portugal, and they lack quality throughout the whole squad, I think. They do have obviously very notable players, but I don't think as a unit, I don't think they have sort of a great depth. But together as a team, they show just how powerful they can be. And I do think that, you know, that would be an outside bet. I'd never really fancied Spain for this tournament. But I have to say what's happened in the last week or so has really sort of kind of confirmed that, I think.
Fantastic. Well, that's the latest William Hill podcast brought to you with the FWA. Come back for more.